Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Hope you're all having a good day. Today, as the title suggests, we're talking about tone fat. The title's kind of a joke, but we'll get to what it means in a second. I tried to explain this concept to someone on Facebook recently, and I was told that I knew nothing, was deaf, and should give up guitar forever. So hopefully this goes better, but let me preface this before I get into what I'm talking about by saying we might disagree. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Feel free to let me know yours in the comment section below and we can have a discussion about it. But if you come out like you're on a mission to prove how insecure you are, I probably will delete your comment or pin it. Anyway, let's be at least a little bit respectful. But yeah, let's chat about this. So today we are talking about, I say tone fat, but really the discussion is kind of tone wood. Is it a thing? You know, there's been a lot of debate about it back and forth in many different forums for a ridiculously long time. And frankly, my view of it has changed over time as I think, learned more about what I'm talking about. But today we're going to talk about a concept that I use to explain why I don't think that your wood type on a solid body electric guitar changes how it's going to sound. At least not in a way that we can measure or that any of us can actually hear. This is a guitar. This is a belly. These are hands. Anyway, this is a guitar. This one's made of mahogany. And you will, more often than I think should be the case, you will see people kind of like checking out the thickness of a guitar, knocking on it, being like, oh, you know, that resonates pretty well. And the notion behind this apparently is that how the wood resonates is supposed to impact the tone of the guitar. And some people make a more compelling argument saying that how the wood resonates will impact how the strings vibrate, which will then impact how the pickups pick up the tone and how the guitar sounds. And that notionally makes sense because how the strings vibrate is what matters, okay? And it's particularly how the strings vibrate between the nut and the bridge. So, or between wherever you're fretting and the bridge. But does this matter? Does this sound any different than once you hook it up? If you've got the same electronics in it, does the wood matter? I'm going to say no. A lot of things can notionally affect your tone. The strings, the fret material, the bridge, the nut, and of course all of the electronics, everything that impacts the signal path. But sorry, interrupting myself to put that away. Here's the deal. How that rings out, it has nothing to do with how the strings vibrate. And this is where the concept of tone fat comes in, because if that is truly an accurate gauge of what we're dealing with, then your guitar is going to sound different if you are playing it standing up, playing it sitting down. You know, it's going to sound different if you're holding it more tightly, if you're barely touching it. And by virtue of that, it's going to sound different if you're a thinner, harder individual or a heavier individual, right? It's all going to change how the wood reverberates because it's touching something, okay? And the guy that I was talking to on Facebook, and we won't get into that any more than necessary, but clearly had a bit of a misunderstanding between note decay and tone. They're not the same thing. Note decay is how fast a note falls off. And if you're gripping something really tightly, it's not going to ring out as long. So you will notice if you're playing a guitar through an amp and you strum a note and then you go without touching the strings and you hold it really tightly, the note will fall off quicker. That's not the tone. That's the note decay. And that is you basically taking this entire thing that's already vibrating and dampening it. So, I mean, you're welcome to believe in whatever you want to, I guess, in terms of what impacts the tone of your guitar. I suppose it's all preference, but I think we just need to be a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more reasonable about how we look at this. Not every guitar needs to be made out of maple, ash, or alder. You know, Basswood sounds the same if you put the same stuff in it. And if you're covering it in an opaque finish, it's a more renewable resource. It's easier to get your hands on. It's cheaper. There is nothing wrong with that. So if we can kind of sort of get a little bit more serious here for a moment, what I'm trying to get at here, the message, is we can look to other things other than all of these fancy hardwoods for guitars, for electric solid body guitars, and they are going to sound good, okay? If you build them correctly, if you play them correctly, which is even more important, they're going to sound good. You don't need to have all of these exotic woods that are really expensive and hard to come by and, well, basically barely renewable because they take so bloody long to grow. You can make a guitar out of bamboo, basswood, mahogany. They all sound fine. If you really believe that the material density here has a significant impact on tone and that, harder materials sound better, then there's a practice routine that I really want you to consider for improving how you play guitar and how it sounds. It's called 8-minute abs, I think. I'll have to find it. I think my satire's gone far enough here. You probably get my point. But that's the gist of it. Like how tight you hold the guitar. Nobody ever says that that's going to have a huge impact on your playing, right? Nobody says that you have to have a certain body composition to play guitar. Nobody says that the guitar sounds different when you're standing up or sitting down. It's just not really how it works, particularly when we're playing it through an amp and everything. We've got all this stuff involved. You're not materially changing how the strings resonate by virtue of the type of wood that you have. It's just, I'm sorry, guys, it's just not true. So yeah, your quilted maple top guitar with the ebony fretboard looks awesome. And that's a great reason to have a specific material, aesthetics. But we can't really pretend that that makes a guitar sound better than some other material. There are lots of great sounding plywood guitars out there, and nobody seems to realize it. You get people peeling the finish off of their guitar and going, it's plywood, I think I should just burn it. Why? It sounded fine before. It still will. Play it. If you don't like how it sounds, maybe get better at playing it. I should take my own advice on that one. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. One final comment, that everything I just said does not apply to acoustic guitars, okay? Acoustic guitars are impacted heavily by how much space is inside them, what kind of wood they have, all of that stuff. So that doesn't count. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure this one will spark some conversation, so let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comment section below. Be kind to each other, but let's have a discussion about it. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And remember to subscribe so that you can see the cool projects I have coming out. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.